Hello, this is your good friend Will from BMI, and you're watching the Digital Imaging channel where we like to talk about all things digital imaging. Today we're going to go over the microfilm scanning process. What's a microfilm scanning process? Basically, it's the workflow that we use to take your microfilm from a hard copy record to a digital format. And every scanning company is going to have their own way to run a microfilm scanning project. So this is ours, this is what we know. It's a 10-step process that we're going to run through so you can get an idea of what will happen to your microfilm when it comes to us. And I have here the 10 steps so I can go through each one in detail. And before we get to each individual step, let's take a look at the overall process. Okay, and here we are on our blog. This is our microfilm scanning process article. I scroll down here, and there's an infographic for our 10-step microfilm scanning process, starting at step 1, receiving microfilm, all the way through the indexing in step 10 after the microfilm scanned. So we're going to go through each step individually, go into a little bit of detail on each so you get a better feel for what happens throughout the entire process. But this infographic on our blog does give you a good bird's eye view of the entirety of what we do when we scan your microfilm. So let's get into step 1 next. All right, step 1 is receive microfilm, and that can be done any number of ways. You could drop it off, you could ship it to us, we may go pick it up. If you're local, it may be a short drive, or occasionally we even fly out somewhere, rent a truck, and our employee drives your material back, especially if it's a large project. But basically step 1 is we're getting your microfilm to our facility. All our microfilm scanning is done in our Sunnyvale headquarters. That's where I am right now. And every microfilm scanning project's done at this location. So getting your film to us, whichever way it is, that's step 1. All right, step 2, we're going to tag the transportation containers. And what do I mean by transportation container? It can basically be anything you're going to send to us that has your film in it. So a banker's box is very common. There may be some sort of lockable container. We use various types, one of which is like a Pelican case. Another type is a sort of aluminum lockable case to protect your microfilm from tampering during shipping. You may have some other method, but basically whatever container your microfilm shows up in, we're going to tag that with our own barcoded label so we can track it internally. And the barcode, well, the label includes a barcode, also the date received, the job number, the box number, and the customer name. So if you work for Acme Inc., they'll have that as well as all that other information so we can wand the barcode as we move the film throughout the microfilm scanning process inside of our facility and track it along the way. All right, moving on to step 3, secure storage. When we get your film, we've tagged it, it's in our facility now. For microfilm, we're going to keep it in a secure storage area depending on when we're actually going to be accessing your project. So if we're not going to be scanning it immediately, which is usually the case, it's going to go into one of our secure storage areas so that it restricts even the employees that work at BMI, it restricts their availability to get to your material. We're really only going to take it out of there when we're going to be actively working on it. So if we're prepping it, we're photographing the labels, we're actually doing the scanning, whatever it is, we're going to pull it out from secure storage when we're actually working on it, and when we're not, we're going to put it back in that secure storage area. So before and after the actual work's done, it'll be there for a bit. During the project, it'll be out more often than in because we're doing the project. But while we're not working on it, it's secure. No one's getting into it that shouldn't get to it. Now we're on step 4, which is to create your job order. And what that is the sales rep that you've been working with has been talking to you for a while. You've created a project scope of work, decided on the pricing, the contract, and whatnot. So we have the film, all that paperwork's done. But when we have your material, we have to have a job order so that our production team can work on it and translate what you and your sales rep worked on, translate that into an actual process flow. So the sales rep will enter a job order and we'll create what we call an SOP inside of our internal production system that lists all the steps that need to happen to get you what you want when the microfilm scanning project is complete. So that can be a 10-step project, it can be a 50-step, but depending on what you've decided to do with your microfilm, that job order will be entered, approved, and then the production team will use that to actually scan, process, post-process your film, and then get it ready for deliverable in whatever output format you decided on. All right, now we're on step 5, which is photographing the microfilm labels, and that's pretty simple. We get your microfilm, let's say you have, I don't know, a 500 roll project. What we're gonna do is actually microfilm. We're gonna photograph the microfilm in the little case it's in, little box. Microfilm is usually not loose, it's in some sort of container. And what we're gonna do is take a photo of that so we can use that label to track it. We'll also apply a barcode. And then we may be indexing from the roll label so we can use that photograph for someone to look at that later, type the information out to use as your file name or whatever it's going to be used for. So it's a dual purpose. We take a photograph so you can see what it originally looked like, and we can use it for our keying specs. Now we're on step 6, which is tagging microfilm with the UID barcode. So a UID is a unique identifying number, which is called our BMI UID. And I mentioned it in the previous step, but basically what we're going to do is after we photograph the labels, we're going to apply that UID barcode so we can individually track each microfilm roll. So although in step 2 we're tagging the transportation containers with our general tracking barcode label that has the job number, customer name, etc. We also tag each individual microfilm roll so we know how many we scanned, and we can track each one along our process flow so we know if one of them's held up for some reason, like there's an issue with it in scanning, post-processing, whatever it is. So using that earlier example of a couple hundred rolls, you send us 500 rolls, that could fit in 4 to 6 bankers boxes, maybe 7 bankers boxes, about 90 or so rolls per box. So we're going to have each of those, let's call it 5 boxes tagged with that general label. But then after we photograph the individual microfilm rolls, we're also going to tag those with a UID so we can track every one of those 500 rolls throughout the microfilm scanning process. So that's step 6, tagging microfilm rolls with a UID barcode. Okay, now we're on to step 7, which is the microfilm preparation stage. And that's where we're going to take each roll of microfilm and prepare it for scanning. So our prep operators are going to take a roll of film. They're going to wind it up and unspool it on these contraptions that allow them to quickly take a roll from full on this side, spin it through, take a look at it, unwinds it, and then winds it up on another reel. So you can check the entire roll of film and see if there's any issues like broken pieces, cuts, tape, splices, whatever it is. While they're doing that, they're also going to be actually taking density checks. There's this little machine called a densitometer that on the front portion of the film, the middle section, and then the very end of the film, they take this little needle-like contraption, take a little mark there, and it gives it a density reading. We use those 3 density reading checks across the beginning, middle, and end of the film to make an average density for that roll, which will then give our scanning operators the average density to set the machines at when they actually do the scanning. So that's the microfilm preparation stage. As they get ready to go to the next step, microfilm scanning. Microfilm scanning, step 8. This is the heart of the microfilm scanning process because we're actually scanning your film now. And what we're going to do is take the prepped microfilm, load them up onto our machines, and then scan them. It's a pretty straightforward process. Microfilm scanning, the scanning itself is not usually too difficult. You put it on a machine, you have an operator watching the machines to make sure they're running, that nothing's getting snagged or anything like that. But you're pretty much watching the roll go along, and then as rolls finish, they'll put new rolls on. But it's scanning. You're just capturing the images, turning them into digital files. So although it's the heart of the operation, what we call everything, we call this entire process microfilm scanning, theoretically it's kind of the easiest part because you put them on the machine, you press go, you let it scan for a bit, and then you put a new roll on. So this is where we're going to take your hard copy microfilm and turn it into digital images. Step 9 is the post-scan image processing, and that is pretty much encapsulated by taking those now scanned digital images. So we have digital files to work with, and what they really are strips of microfilm, and then we're going to take those images and process them on the back end, which means cropping images. Let's say you're getting PDFs. We're going to frame and crop the images from the film because you don't necessarily want an entire strip, you want those individual pages. So we're going to crop them out so you have individual pages within those PDFs. So framing, cropping, so it makes a more manageable file. Maybe we're going to do some OCR, which is optical character recognition. Another way to phrase that is text search. So if you want files that are searchable, we may do some OCR processing to give you those searchable files. And we're also doing some quality checking. We have various methods to check the image quality on the microfilm. Once they become digital images, that's part of this post-processing step. So you do the scanning, which is the physical part. Now we're all in the digital world where everything is, you're turning the raw files into more, call it polished digital files for you to use once we deliver them to you. Lastly, step 10 in the microfilm scanning process is indexing. This could be its entire own video, could be its own blog topic. It actually is. One of our other articles is about indexing. So I'm not going to go into too much detail here, but basically indexing is naming the digital files now that they are in an electronic format. This can be extremely simple. You might have, if you have 500 rolls that were scanned, maybe we make 500 folders named by the roll label. Remember, we took that photograph, name it by the roll box, and then just have single page PDFs within that folder. Maybe we have one PDF per roll, so we give you back 500 PDFs because you had 500 rolls. That's very simple. You could go super complex and go to the file level on the roll itself. So let's say you have police records or something, criminal reports. Maybe it's 10 pages per report. On a roll of film, you have about 2,500 images. That's 2,500, 10, call it 250 individual files on that roll of film. We can name each of those files and create like a multi-page PDF of each 10-page file. The indexing for that can be very difficult because we have to find it, name individual files, go through every single image to go find those separate documents. So basically what I'm saying is the indexing can be super complex, it can be super easy, but this is, we're considering the last step before we get to deliver these files to you, is we're organizing the files and naming them in their digital format so you can access them easily later. So there you have it. That's our 10-step microfilm scanning process. It's not probably the fanciest thing you've ever seen, but this is microfilm scanning, so what did you really expect? Projects can really range from very simple to extremely complex, but these 10 steps, and I'm pointing at this, my little cheat sheet, these 10 steps are pretty much what every microfilm project goes through in essence. There can be other steps involved in each, like the indexing, the post-scan image processing. Those can have additional pieces to them, but pretty much is what every project runs through if you scan with us and you send your microfilm to us. So you can pretty much ensure that your microfilm will go on this specific journey if we work together. So if you'd like to learn more, check out some of our other videos, check out our website. We have a lot of blogs that have some good information about microfilm scanning, or just shoot us an email or call us and we'd be happy to get in touch with one of our reps and chat about your project. So thanks for watching. Again, It's your good friend Will from BMI, and this is our digital imaging channel. Thanks.